one-step equations. This is one-step equations with all operations. So, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. The goal for these is to isolate the variable by undoing the operations. Isolating means getting that variable by itself. So if I look at example 1, I have x plus 4 is equal to 12. If I want to get this variable by itself, you're looking at your equal sign. So if it's on the left side of the equal sign, that means I need to get it by itself. So I'm going to undo the operation of positive 4. So the opposite of adding 4 is going to be subtracting 4. You're going to do it to both sides. If you don't do it to both sides, then you're changing the equation and you won't get the correct solution. So if I subtract 4 from both sides, I'm now going to have x gets brought down, positive 4 and negative 4 gives me 0, so I have nothing left on the left side. 12 minus 4 is going to give me 8. So my answer for this is going to be x is equal to 8. If we look at example 2 off to the right, you can see that I have 3x is equal to negative 18. Again, I'm going to kind of bring down my negative sign so I can keep everything organized. Right now, since I have a coefficient in front of my variable, that means to multiply. So the opposite of multiplying is going to be dividing. So I need to divide both sides by 3. So when I divide both sides by 3, 3 divided by 3, that's going to cancel because it's going to give me 1x. And when I do negative 18 divided by 3, remember when we have a negative and a positive, when you divide or multiply them, it stays a negative. 3 goes into 18 6 times evenly. So my answer for this problem is going to be x equals negative 6. If we look down at example 3, you can see that I have x over 2 is equal to 4. Remember that x over 2, if I have a fraction, fractions are equal to division. So right now it's telling me to divide x by 2. So the opposite of dividing would be multiplying. So if I multiply, and I'm going to bring this down, both sides by 2, 2 divided by 2 is going to give me 1, so I have a single x, and 4 times 2 is going to give me 8, so my answer is going to be x is equal to positive 8 again. If I look over at example 4, I have negative 5 plus x is equal to 7. So again, I kind of line up my negatives so I keep everything left and right sided. If my positive x is on the left side, I need to get rid of my 5. So the opposite of a negative 5 is a positive, where I'm going to add it to both sides. So now when I add the 5 to both sides, negative 5 and positive 5 gives me 0. I'm going to bring down my positive x, and 7 plus 5 is going to give me 12. So my answer for this one is going to be x is equal to 12. Now if I look at word problems, first off you can see my note here says don't forget your integer rules. That means when you're adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, don't forget what you're supposed to do. If you do, go back and refer to those videos that are on this YouTube channel. Example 5 says, if John has 6 hats, how many more does he need to have 10 hats? Write and solve. So you first need to write an equation. Remember when we did our equation video, we know that we had to write as we read left to right. So if he has 6 hats, so this is a constant, we know that this number is not going to change. how many more is my question mark. More means to add. In order to have, so for it to equal 10 hats. So he has 6. How many more hats does he need to add? So he has 6 plus some number of hats for him to equal 10. This is your writing part. So we have that done. Now we need to do the solving. So if I have 6 plus h is equal to 10, I need to get my h by itself. So instead of a positive 6, I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. Positive 6 minus 6 gives me 0. My h carries down. And then positive 10 minus 6 is going to give me 4, which means he needs 4 more hats. Don't just write the number 4. You need to make sure that you have the expression here. He needs 4 more hats or just 4 hats, because it's asking you how many more. So 4 hats. Make sure you use your unit so that we know what we are talking about. And for example 6, it says Sammy made $500. If she makes $20 an hour, how many hours did she work? So it's saying that she made $500. We know that she already has $500. Then it says if she makes $20 an hour. So that's 20 times my number of hours. So when I write my equation, I know that I have $500, and I know that this is going to equal $20 times my number of hours. So your equation is going to be 500 is equal to 20h. So if I'm looking for how many hours, right now it's saying to multiply, so the opposite would be dividing both sides by 20, because my 20s will cancel, so I'm left with h on the right side in this case, and 500 divided by 20, I can cancel out my zeros. So now I have 50 divided by 2, so half of 50 is 25. So that means that she worked 25 hours in order to make this $500.